The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. Yeah!
Hi, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this podcast, I'm going to talk to you about your skimmer and your skimmer basket in particular. I'm going to go over some tips for you if you're a homeowner or if you're a pool service pro. And there's actually quite a bit to cover when you're talking about skimmer baskets. Pool Service Pro, open a Leslie's wholesale account today and receive wholesale pricing on products you use every day. Leslie's Pool Supply offers convenient locations that are open 7 days a week. Another great benefit of opening a Leslie's wholesale account is Leslie's referral program. Get referred to a customer looking for weekly pool service. Also receive priority service, enhanced rebate programs, a discount on your general liability insurance through SPA, a discount on your pool routing software through Skimmer, and an opportunity to co-brand with Leslie's on your social media, website, truck, and more. Save time and money and grow your pool service route and become a Leslie's Pro. Now obviously the skimmer basket is something that's really crucial in the pool care. If you don't have a skimmer basket and a skimmer, all the debris will go into the pump basket and clog it up. And if the skimmer basket is not properly set in there, the same thing could happen. You can even clog up the line. And so the last thing you want is to have all the debris in the pool clogging up the skimmer line. This will cause you to maybe have to blow it out with a drain bladder. You may have to call in a professional plumber or a pool company that does CO2 drain clear outs, and they'll blow out the skimmer line. A lot of times, all the debris that gets stuck in the line is usually by the jandy valve gate. And if you look at your pool equipment, if you see your pump, usually there's a jandy valve in front of it that controls the flow from maybe the pool to the spa, or the pool to the main drain, or the pool to the cleaner port. That's usually where the debris gets jammed in, so that's something that you can easily take the jandy valve off, take the screws off the top, pull it out, and get the debris out there. But the point is to prevent that from happening in the first place, because this could be costly. Could also damage the pool equipment because the pump's going to be running dry. And if the pump basket gets impacted with debris, that could cause the pump to run dry and overheat also. So the skimmer basket is a great first stopgap in preventing that from happening. And a lot of times is overlooked by a lot of homeowners and pool professionals in that regard. But cleaning out the skimmer basket is really an essential part of pool service. Now, if you're not familiar with a pool, the skimmer basket is usually underneath the plastic lid on the deck of the pool. Sometimes there's more than one skimmer. Some pools have two. But you just take that lid off, and then inside there is a basket. Now, there are some tips here on cleaning out the basket itself. I personally like cleaning out the basket with the pool running. I find that if you clean out the skimmer basket with the pool off, it becomes sometimes more difficult because the debris is floating in there. And then when you put the basket in, some debris may get pushed underneath the basket and get into the pump. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure the pool's running, and then you want to clean the skimmer basket that way. Now, if you have a lot of debris in there, if it's totally full of debris, what I'll do is I'll just stick my hand in there with the glove on, and I'll pull some of the debris out first, put it in my net, and then I'll get to the point where I can actually lift the basket out in that case, and then I'll put the rest of the debris into my skimmer net and take it somewhere and dump it. And that's the best way to do it. Now, if you want to do it with the pump off, you can of course do it with the pump off, but I suggest doing it with the pump on for ease of cleaning. And you'll kind of get the idea when you do it more often that it is easier with the pump on than with the pump off in a lot of cases. Sometimes you may have to turn the pump off. And I find that if you're using maybe a Valpak aftermarket skimmer basket, and I'll touch on those in a minute here too, you have to turn the pump off because the debris is really impacted into the skimmer basket, and there's no way to get it out without turning it off. But in most cases, leaving it on is the best method. And you want to clean your skimmer basket first, and then the pump basket secondary. So you don't really want to get to a pool, clean the pump basket, and then clean the skimmer basket, because what if some debris gets back through the skimmer basket, skimmer line into the pump? Then you got to take the pump lid off again and clean it again. So you always want to clean the skimmer basket first, and then the pump basket second. You also want to make sure that the skimmer basket is not going to float up. A lot of times the skimmer baskets are pretty cheap and light, and so they're going to float when the pool turns off, kind of lift up a little bit. And what happens if the pool's off for 8 or 10 hours, that debris kind of settles into the bottom of the skimmer. And then when the pump turns back on, the skimmer basket, yes, is going to get pulled back down into place in some cases, and then some debris will get through the bottom of it. Other times, the skimmer basket may tip over in there because it's not down in the hole itself when it turns on. So the best solution that I found is to get a flat rock. You want to get a rock, of course, bigger than the 1.5-inch opening of the skimmer, just in case for some reason the skimmer basket tips over and the rock falls in there. You don't want it going into that hole and causing, of course, a clog with the rock in there. It would be really hard to get it out. So I always pick like a 2.5, 3-inch flat rock. I can usually find one on the property. I'll walk around looking for it, but I have tons of them at my house, and so I'll take them with me on my route, and I'll put a nice, 2.5, 3-inch flat rock in there that has some weight to it, and that way it'll hold down the skimmer basket in place. Now there is one skimmer that has a locking basket type. I don't like those. They're the waterway skimmer baskets. A lot of the old style waterway, locking skimmers, the basket gets jammed in there and you can't even get the basket out without cutting it out with a razor blade and pulling it up with channel locks. It's a real mess. So I don't like the waterway locking skimmers per se, but there's a lot of them here in Southern California. I find them to be very irritating. I'd rather just put a rock in there or get a heavier basket. They do make baskets with a weight in there they can put into the skimmer. They have a built-in weight inside the basket, and you can, of course, replace your skimmer basket with one of those. But in most cases, just a rock is sufficient. One thing that kind of gets me sometimes is a customer will empty out the skimmer basket and I'll throw my rock away, and that irks me. And it does happen when they want to do their own cleaning of their skimmer basket for whatever reason. But the rock is important for me to hold that basket down. Or I get one with a built-in weight in the skimmer basket. And the skimmer baskets are not all specific for that particular skimmer. If you wanted to get a basket, you don't know what skimmer you have, look at the lid of your skimmer. The lid usually is going to have the manufacturer on the lid itself, because the skimmer comes as one piece with the lid and the skimmer when they install it. And if you pick up the lid and you look at it, it says Pentair, then you're going to need a Pentair skimmer basket for your skimmer. If you look at the lid, it says Hayward, you're going to need a Hayward skimmer basket. And then you have the waterway, and there's a few more that make skimmers that builders will use. And so check the lid to see the manufacturer. You can also just turn your pool off, make sure it's not going to come on for a few hours, and take your basket into the pool store, and they'll match it up for you. That's probably the easiest way for a homeowner to do it, is to take your existing basket in, have them look at it. Sometimes the basket has a marking on it, sometimes not, but in most cases you can just get it matched at the pool store. Once you know your skimmer basket, then you can look online for an aftermarket basket with a weight in it, with a handle maybe, or in some cases you may want the Valpak heavy-duty basket. One reason you may want the heavy-duty basket is if your skimmer basket tears a lot, and this may happen when there's a lot of debris getting in there, if you have heavy debris in your pool, and you find your skimmer basket's ripping all the time from all the water trying to be pulled through there. Now you can get an aftermarket Valpak basket. You can go to their site and look at the different ones they have there. I believe their site is val-pak, that's VAL-PAK products.com. You can see the different Valpak baskets there. Now the one drawback with the Valpak basket, I'm having trouble pronouncing that, say that 10 times fast, is that if the debris impacts the skimmer basket to where there's no flow, the Valpak basket is so strong that what's going to happen is you're going to find that your pump is vibrating a lot. So you're going to go back to the pump area, and it may even be shaking, and you can hear it going. That's because that Valpak basket is not letting any water through either at that point, because it's so good at picking up the debris and trapping it in there. So just be aware that's the drawback if you have a heavy debris pool and you have one of these heavy duty baskets in there, is that it may cause the pump to vibrate and shake, and may cause some equipment damage if you don't check it and clean it often. So I don't recommend the Valpak baskets for really heavy debris pools where you can't get there and check the basket maybe twice a week or something. But it's good for your regular pool, because then the basket is going to last you probably for 30 years or 40. It's never going to go bad, basically. It's never going to break or rip. So for an average pool, I would definitely recommend the Valpak heavy duty basket, but I would not recommend it for a pool with heavy debris, because once it gets full of leaves, the pump's going to be affected by that. So great for everyday use kind of pools where you get light debris, not so good for pools with heavy leaf debris. So keep that in mind when you're looking to get that heavy duty basket for your account. And it usually weighs enough to where it'll stay in the skimmer with no problem, so you won't need a rock with the Valpak basket. So just again, go to their website. Again, it's Valpak, val-pak products.com. Look at the various models. You can pick them up just about anywhere in the store. For example, if you have a Hayward skimmer and you're looking to replace it, you can use the V22-110, and that's the Valpak skimmer basket, and you can find that one at your supplier. And it's a great aftermarket basket. I think it's great for most pools except the ones that get really heavy debris. Also with the heavy debris pools with the Valpak heavy duty skimmer basket, it's hard to empty it with the pool running because it's really impacted in the skimmer. You can't even pull it out in a lot of cases without turning off the pump. So there's some drawbacks to that, of course. But if you're looking for a skimmer basket that's indestructible, I definitely would recommend upgrading to the Valpak basket. There's also a lot of aftermarket baskets with a handle. I recommend that in a lot of cases. You can also get like handle kits on Amazon. Different people make different handles for the baskets. I like the handles because you're not sticking your hand in there to get the basket out in a lot of cases. Again, I wear gloves because there can be a lot of gross things in the skimmer basket. Like, if there's been a rodent that fell in your pool and it's been in there for a few days, all the skin may get pulled off, all the fur, may get pulled off of it. And so when you reach your hand into the skimmer basket to get the debris, you may actually put your finger through or onto that rodent, and sometimes in some cases my hand will actually pass right through it. It's got so water saturated. So there are some things that you want to avoid because of the gross factor. So I always wear gloves for that reason. Plus I've been stung by a bee actually that's been dead before, by just touching with my hand. So I keep that in mind all the time. And there's sometimes live bees in the skimmer basket itself. So wearing a nitrile type glove, which I wear anyway for work, is the best prevention for something like that. Then you have black widows and spiders always liking the skimmer basket. I'm not sure why the manufacturers make the skimmer lids with that little hole in the middle, because the black widows love that little hole in the middle, or spiders in general. So they kind of made a nest for the spiders just by putting the lid with that hole in the center. It's really one of those things that is one of the things you have to deal with out there when you do pool service as a spider. So wearing gloves is a must for me because I don't want to get bit by a black widow or get stung by a bee or put my hand through a dead rodent. So the gloves are important. A handle, of course, eliminates a lot of that. So look for an aftermarket basket with the handle on top. There's some really cool ones with like a big handle. There's some with a handle down the middle. So check those out. And then, of course, I also created a skimmer basket of sorts. You can find it on my website. If you go to swimmingpoollearning.com and scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, you're going to see my hole-in-one skimmer basket. And this was designed specifically for an automatic cleaner connected at the skimmer. It's a skimmer basket with a hole in the center where you can stick the cleaner hose down using the same flow regulator that came with your cleaner. And that way you don't have to take out the skimmer basket when you put the cleaner in the skimmer. A lot of times what you have to do is cut a hole yourself, which is not the most efficient way of doing it. Or you just have the basket kind of propped in the skimmer with a rock in it and some debris is going to get through into the pump. So the hole-in-one basket is a manufactured basket that fits about 90% of the skimmers out there, and it has a hole already pre-made in there for the cleaner hose, and it's not that expensive. It's like $14-15, and you put that in there. And so if the customer wanted to use their pool maybe for a party, you can put the regular skimmer basket back in. When you're using the automatic cleaner, you can use a hole-in-one basket, because if you cut the hole out yourself, then the skimmer basket is no longer usable for like when they want to take the cleaner out and have a party or something. There's a big hole in the bottom. So my aftermarket basket is a great way to solve that problem. Again, you can go to my website, swimmingpoollearning.com. Just scroll to the bottom. You're going to see the link to the hole-in-one basket. I recommend that if you have an automatic cleaner and you want to keep a skimmer basket in there. It's a great way to do that and to actually save the pump from getting clogged up with debris when you have the cleaner connected at the skimmer. And if I'm talking about skimmer baskets, I always like to touch on the filter socks or the filter savers or the skimmer socks, however they market them. These are like a pantyhose material, and they're pre-measured for the skimmer basket. And what it does is it stops all of the small particle debris from getting through the basket. A lot of times you have to put a rock on top the skimmer sock anyway to keep the basket down, or underneath the sock itself, because the basket may float with it on there, but it'll trap even dirt into the filter saver sock. And it's a great aftermarket product. I recommend it for almost all the pools out there. They get really fine debris that can go through the skimmer basket into the pump basket. St. Augustine grass, anything that is really skinny and thin can get pulled right through into the pump and clog up the pump. So the filter saver socks are a great way to prevent debris from getting into the pump basket and clogging it up. You can just go to Google and just type in skimmer basket filter saver. You're going to see all of them pop up there. All different brands make them, and you can just buy them at your pool store or buy them online, and you'll see how it kind of lines the basket. And it's a great way to keep all that debris from getting through into the pump. And again, I mentioned you probably have to put a rock in there because it does tend to float more with that filter saver on there, just because of the gravity of it kind of floating up in there with that thing on top. So just be aware you have to put a weight in there. Again, I just use a regular large and flat river rock. That seems to be the best rock to use inside the skimmers, and you can definitely install a filter saver to keep any kind of fine debris from getting pulled into the pump and clogging it up. So that's kind of the overview of the skimmer baskets. There's definitely a lot of things involved in it, more than just putting a basket in. You can get the thicker Valpak basket. You can get an aftermarket with a handle. You may want to put a rock in there to hold it down, keeping it from floating up, because then the debris will get through there. And you want to inspect it every week for any kind of cracks. Once there's a crack in the basket, you want to throw it away. One thing if you do pool service that I highly recommend is you carry a few different baskets in your truck. Just stack them into each other and put them somewhere. That way you have the skimmer baskets on hand, because the last thing you want to do is to leave a stop with a skimmer basket with a hole in it. You want to have the replacement basket with you at that time. Especially here in Southern California when we get the Santa Ana winds, I can tell you that you're going to lose 2 or 3 skimmer baskets that week easily, maybe more. So you want to make sure you have the skimmer baskets on your truck to replace them on the spot. I carry usually 2 of each kind, and that way I'm never going to run out. And then I reorder them right away once I put one in. But you want to have those supplies on your truck. Those are pretty much essential things to have on your truck. And there's a lot of universal ones. And in a pinch, you can use one that doesn't fit quite the same way. Like for instance, if you have a waterway locking skimmer, you can find one that fits similar to that and put it in there temporarily for that week and then go back and get it. But if you have some universal type skimmer baskets in your truck, that'd be ideal. I also carry a couple universal skimmer lids also. They're generic, they don't have the markings of the manufacturer, but I do carry them. And I also carry a Pentair lid. Pentair seems to be the popular skimmer in my area, but having some skimmer lids also is a smart thing to have also in your truck. Sometimes they'll crack, someone will step on them, the gardener, and then you have to replace it on the spot. You can't leave the skimmer with the skimmer lid off. It's very dangerous. Someone could break their ankle. A kid could stick their hand in there and get stuck in the pipe. They can be playing with the skimmer. So you want to make sure you always have that covered with the lid. In the worst case scenario, if you don't have any kind of skimmer lid with you, find something on the property you can cover it with. A flagstone rock, a paver. One time I had to put a chair over it. I put an umbrella stand over one time. I didn't have any more skimmer lids. You just want to make sure you carry them in your truck. Even if it doesn't fit perfectly, if you have a skimmer lid, you want to have that available. And the last thing you want to do is have to run to your supplier to get one and come back to the stop that day. But you should never leave the stop without the skimmer lid. It's just a hazard. And it's one of those things that could cause you liability. So keep that in mind. Besides the basket, have some extra lids available on your truck to replace that on the spot when necessary. And if you're looking for other podcasts that I recorded, you can go to my website, swimmingpoollearning.com, and on the banner, there's a podcast icon. Click on that, and that'll bring you a drop-down menu of all the podcasts I recorded. And if you want to enhance your business, check out my coaching program at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. Pool Service Pro. Open a Leslie's wholesale account today and receive wholesale pricing on products you use every day. Leslie's Pool Supply offers convenient locations that are open 7 days a week. Another great benefit of opening a Leslie's wholesale account is Leslie's referral program. Get referred to a customer looking for weekly pool service. Save time and money and grow your pool service route and become a Leslie's Pro.